Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our Rural Support and Wellbeing webinars. This is the third or fourth that we've done this over the winter period. I'm Nikki Rattenbury from Heart of the Southwest Trading Standards, and we're facilitating these webinars as part of the Future Farm Resilience Programme. Tonight, our topics are going to be on surrounding rural community care. The first speaker this evening we have is Dee from a recovery practitioner from Step One Charity. And sadly, we had two other speakers lined up for this evening, one from Rural Mental Health Matters and one from the Rural Agricultural Benevolent Institute, Rabbi. But unfortunately, both speakers are poorly, so they're unable to join us this evening. So instead of those speakers, they're hopefully going to join us for the February webinar instead. But myself and Sam from Trading Standards will just cover some topics relating to scams and rogue traders around the rural community. And Luke from Devon County Council's Future Farm Resilience Programme will cover some of the most up-to-date information on grants and payments available currently to farmers. So we'll just fill after Dee's presentation with a couple of sort of topical issues on surrounding both of those. So as normal, if we could just move on to the next slide, please, Sam. Then if you would like to join in, then you just need to, the camera will always be disabled, but if you want to just press your microphone button, it'll automatically be on mute. But if you'd like to join in and have any comments that you want to share, then please just unmute yourself and join us. Or if you'd prefer, you can just add it into the chat. That's no problem. This session is being recorded. So there is a disclaimer after this, which just basically, if you would rather not have your details shared, then obviously you can email Luke or you can contact him via the telephone number there, and we can remove your details from the presentation. But please, if you want to comment or during the presentations, please feel free to do so or enter it into the chat. Okay, Dee, if you're happy, it'd be great for you to share your screen and we'll start with your presentation. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Nikki, for that lovely introduction. So, hi everyone. Of course, I'm Dee from Step One, and this is Series 2 for me in terms of a rural communities presentation. I work with people on a daily basis to identify coping strategies to reduce their low mental health concerns, and I combine this with effective signposting and work alongside more than 15 recovery practitioners covering the whole of Devon. I've presented the introduction to this presentation once already in Series 1. I do know we have different listeners in a different area, hence there will be a bit of recap if anybody's listening from presentation 1, but for everybody else this should be new. So in my role as a recovery practitioner, very briefly, I work on two teams, one that works with severe mental illness and another where the level of patient's health is more highly concerning. So they have conditions like bipolar, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and need to be concordant with their medicines. Now, along this, I'm qualified to teach Pilates and yoga, and I've taken half a dozen park yoga sessions last year for up to 90 people, which was free. So these park yoga sessions, they're free to everybody to come along to. And I also lead runs affiliated to the social prescriber app Joy. It's also affiliated to United Kingdom Athletics, and also work at the Pure Chain and Broadmeadow, which is part of the Timbridge Leisure Centre. Prior to this, I've been a health coach, and a big element of my work involved changing behaviours, and outcomes were numerous. And I was awarded during the pandemic for 10 months of Facebook Live Pilates videos, which got the notable Hero NHS accolade. So moving on, in today's presentation, I hope to cover the salient concepts that can be introduced in the short term to reduce low mental well-being for us all. Okay, so the outcomes from this session, the objectives from the session, I hope will be the following. So I'm hoping you'll learn some new DBT wellbeing acronyms or mnemonics. I'm going to explain some metaphors with parallel meaning, which I think is rather lovely when you work on farms or do any kind of agricultural work. There'll be a guided imagery relaxation task. I'll look at staying well involving lifestyle and well-being ideas, and a little bit on understanding on solution-focused therapy techniques, plus a smart goal setting task. So to begin with, who are Step One? So an introduction to Step One. It's an 85-year-old, much-loved Devon-based charity supporting people with their mental health to achieve employability goals and live independently. It was formerly known as the St. Louis Foundation and Community Care Trust. The two charities merged in 2015. Every year, we support up to 800 people with mental health issues and disabilities to take control of their future and fulfill their potential. So DBT, this is what I'm accredited in as part of my role as a recovery practitioner. It's a kind of talking therapy. It's designed for people who feel emotions very intensely. DBT, dialectal behavioral therapy, focuses on helping you change unhelpful ways of things and unhelpful ways and things and unhelpful ways of thinking and behaving, but it also focuses on accepting who you are at the same time. There is often homework to do from my sessions, and the focus is on the present and the future instead of the past. And you might look at being more mindful, learning to deal with a crisis without harmful behaviors, learning to ask for things and say no to others, regulating your emotions, and there are often long waits for our service. So I'm delighted to bring the essence of DBT to this session, as well as some other key concepts. So, Marsha Lineham's DBT mnemonics, some new ones. If you can go to the previous presentation because there'll be some different mnemonics or acronyms. In this one, I introduced some new ones. Marsha Lynham was a survivor of severe trauma, and she developed them initially for the treatment of borderline personality disorder, but they're now applied across a range of challenging conditions. It relies on teaching core life skills such as mindfulness, how to regulate emotions, how to tolerate distress, and how to be effective interpersonally, and then helps you move on to maintain motivation, resolve ongoing problems as they come about, and all of this would be normally something that we do in a session. So starting with improve, each letter stands for a word, as is often the case with acronyms. So I is imagine. Now, this is a rather lovely one, and I don't know if as a child you like me, but as a child, whenever it came to holidays, we used to have holiday brochures lying around. Not that we were going on holiday all the time, they were ideas. And whenever I visited a holiday shop, something I would definitely do is pick up a holiday brochure just to flick through and imagine being somewhere. So if you can't use your own imagination, that's one way of doing it, is imagining a peaceful place far away from your worries. What are the sights, sounds, and smells you notice? So that could be an experience you really enjoyed where you've been at a place on holiday and really had a nice time. And then you can also, in terms of imagination, imagine vividly the best possible resolution of your current challenge. So, what would it be like to have the current challenge out of your mind? Meaning. Okay, so is there any meaning you can find or create from your situation? You can reflect on ways you use your current experience to gain insight or help others. The next one, which I definitely believe strongly in, is the power of prayer. Now, not everybody uses prayer. Some people use spirituality and meditation, quite similar, but using prayer to accept what you cannot control or seek, and using prayer as guidance on navigating a difficult situation. It can be, as I say, through meditation, if it's spirituality in general, or if it's different religion, you might not pray, but you might have your own kind of concepts. But it's often connected with a higher power or your own wise mind. Ah, R stands for relaxation, finding a quiet place where you can practice a relaxation technique of your choice. In session one, we looked at breathing techniques. You can very easily look on YouTube and find things like sunrise breath. So that's tempoed breathing. And then if you notice your attention wandering, back to your worries, gently bring it back to your practice. So that's the relaxation element. It could be using a candle, it could be using just your breath. Your breath is a strong sense. We breathe 22,000 times in a day. Breath helps cell and tissue renewal and organ health. So it's really powerful. O. O stands for one thing in the moment, bringing yourself something into the present. And immersing yourself in a simple, repetitive activity that requires your full engagement can be something that really brings yourself in the moment. It could be a household chore or a mental task like counting or memorizing, which activates the mind, or it could just literally be something that you're grateful for in the moment at that time. Vacation. Okay, so I love this one because I've said before, it's like taking a vacation from being an adult. So taking a short break from your worries, doing something fun or nourishing, it can really refresh you and lead you to fresh perspective when you resume your day. So doing something fun and enjoyable. And then finally, encouragement. Practice being your own best advocate by repeating words of support to yourself. Use things like affirmations. Be sure to select a phrase that feels authentic and motivate yourself to keep going. So keep ruminating over that positive affirmation in your mind as much or as little as you need to. The next one, the next mnemonic is tips. So tips, temperature. If you're really, really stressed, it can help to do something like take a cold shower. It also help to splash cold water or add ice cubes to your tap water. The cooling effect can really alter a what's known as emotional dysfunction. So that's something to consider. You can also dunk your head in cold water if you're outdoors. If you're really that bad, I wouldn't use your horse trough or pig trough or anything like that. But a sink and a bowl of water, it can be a way of washing the hair. But it's not advisable if you suffer from bulimia, anorexia, or heart problems, so just bear that in mind. Under tips, intense exercise. So again, be mindful of any pre-existing medical conditions. Consult with the doctor first if you do have any. Otherwise, 20 minutes of intense in nature exercise, something like high intensity training, can transport frustration or anger. It also energizes and lifts a low mood. So when we do exercise, we release something called endorphins. Those are naturally occurring feel-good chemicals, which can, for free, make us feel better about ourselves. So that is something that you might potentially also add. The next one, I've mentioned breathing already, paced breathing. So when I teach yoga, there's a lot of psychoeducational evidence in our resources that overlaps with yoga. And alternate nose breathing is something that someone came up to me and said, I haven't done that in 10 years, but it really works. It can reduce tension and anxiety, as can sunrise breath. So look up either of those on YouTube, and they're nice evidence-based ways of actually coming back into the present and actually heading into what's known as your parasympathetic nervous system. So actually calming the body. Paired muscle relaxation. So holding your breath into tensing the muscles first in a paired way. So shoulders, both shoulders, holding the breath into the tension, breathing into the tension, and then releasing those muscles and going from a head to toe in terms of organization of the body's movement. So you know you've done all of them leading down towards your feet in that sense. The next one is one that's less well known, and as we're doing a bit on lifestyles today, it's very, very apt. So it's please. The PL stands for treating physical illness, taking care of any physical illness. The E stands for balancing your eating. you can use the Eat Well guide. The NHS British Government's guide to balanced eating is the Eat Well guide, which will enable you to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week realistically. Using that, cannot stress highly enough how good it is. The Eat Well guide, you just Google search Eat Well guide, British Government guidelines, and you can find a whole booklet on balanced eating. Avoid mind-altering substances. If you are doing work involving vehicles, mind-altering substances can get you into a lot of trouble, and also they can take you to a different paradigm when you shouldn't be. Get enough sleep. In the previous webinar, sleep was focused on, so go to webinar 1 for more information on this, and get regular exercise. So regular exercise, the British Government guidelines are 2 times muscle conditioning and muscle strengthening, so that's weights, yoga or Pilates, and cardiovascular 5 times per week, 30 minutes, which would be 150 minutes over 5 days, or 30 minutes times 5. So getting sort of doing your running, your cycling, you're walking at a moderate pace, so out of breath, that kind of thing. Okay, so next one is a bit about metaphors. I said that I'd bring in metaphors. So a metaphor is a way of explaining a topic that is unique. Turning situations into stories is a way of experimenting with scenarios. So this is a learner driver scenario. If you're using a short story, an analogy of a learner driver, when driving, the teacher has full control of the car. Mistakes are likely to happen and scenarios present themselves, but trial and error prevails. Within the journey, mistakes are made, but the pupil can be in a safe place to reflect about situations, and there is that tier of safety. Metaphors are similar. You can use parallels to a situation to discuss the situation rather than the actual problem. So in your experience, you'll probably have lots of situations that you can draw on where you can create metaphors to kind of teach somebody about something rather than saying you did that wrong. And short stories can become discussions that increase perspectives and dialogue. And your client might be stronger, or the person you're talking to might be stronger at a certain task, quality, or have specific strengths and talents. Rapport building grows awareness of those strengths and talents, so talking to them, welcoming them, being warm to them. And because this discussion centre around strengths, the client uses that you use your own expertise along with the person you're talking to. And in effect, the approach is not top down, as in teacher, person you're talking to. It's very much more balanced. So the person you're talking to is more likely to absorb the information because the person you're talking to feels that they're the expert because it's a topic known to them that they can discuss more about in terms of drawing parallels, and the learning is therefore not top down. The other way you can help a person describe something, that a situation that's happening, is through the use of pictures. So I've got 6 lovely pictures there, or the copywriters in where they come from is underneath. We've got a water ball because, as I said earlier, we breathe 22,000 times in a day. Breath helps heal our internal organs, coats our tissues. So breath can be used in terms of, you might be going through turmoil. You might be describing that as sat on a boat where the boat is rocky. You might be through the turmoil, so you might be saying that the waves are hitting you less in effect. You might want to describe how you're going to help somebody. In doing that, what you could suggest is, I'm here in a support boat. I will throw you the life buoy when you need it, and to help you swim, so that your journey is safe. I will be running alongside you. I won't be doing the work for you. So that's just a way of describing water. You know, some waterfalls are like Niagara Falls, some are like Pooh Bear stick waterfalls. So it's how you describe things. Another might just be a kiss. So a kiss can be a passionate embrace, a peck on the cheek, a French kiss, a welcome only ritual in France. a passionate embrace from a child, a picture. It can equal, in this case, inclusivity, empowerment, romance, love, and a depiction showing that there is a bond between two people, which is rather lovely. Food. Food can be a talking point to encourage rapport because it can be a favoured food, an introduction to a culture. It can be for friendship, ritual, practice. And when describing food, it might be that you want to get over about intolerances. It might be that you want to get about co-joining the group that they're in through the use of food. Food pictures shows, what might come in effect of a harvest, the outcomes that are going to come in effect. Um, Sunsets. The work you'll be doing might be early in the morning. You might be the bird catching the morning storm, so to speak. So it can also indicate how to be mindful where you're doing your work. It might be a beautiful surrounding, and it can be a beginning of a new journey. So the sunrise is kind of equivalent of saying, as you come into today's work, think of yourself as experiencing an uplifting sunrise. You're going to absorb the energy from the sun, work through the day, and at the end of it, there'll be a sunset. And during that interim period, you could be looking at what you're going to be doing in that interim period. Flowers. So flowers can be to help people recover in terms of how they look, how they smell. There's all the senses. There's also beautiful, all the beautiful senses connected to flowers. They can be a food source, a table decoration. You might be talking about Christmas, a period at Christmas. What were the flowers like could lead to them talking about that actual time that they've had at Christmas. And an animal. An animal can be a pet. It can be, in your case, how that animal works. It can be that it's how an animal would respond if it's hurt, that you gets you talking about how somebody is hurting themselves. So lots of ideas there. So it's so doing dialectal behavioural therapy, even though it's a theory-based practice, is akin to doing a harvest on all weathers, because there is the metaphor that's used between the client and the therapist and client. There are ways that the client can approach a session. They might ramble, talk fast, scare the therapist. They might refuse in terms of going back to the driving anecdote. They might refuse to drive at all. They might attend that the person who's in the situation might attend under the influence of drugs. So if that happened, the therapist can approach a session in a different way. So they can refuse to give that client time, knowing that they're unable to do that today. They could refuse, they could warn the client of a tumultuous period if we're going back to a harvest, to the client beforehand, that they would experience by working through things with them. And going back to the harvest, they might say this is the start of a journey, knowing it's going to rain, let's go back to the start and get the right wet weather gear, that kind of a thing. But most importantly is acceptance, equilibrium, harmony. When in any kind of scenario, learning a passive state allows the learning to be accumulated. So if you're hyper vigilant, or if you're in a state called hyperarousal and you're anxious all the time, the learning doesn't happen. Being in a nice mellow place where the person you're speaking to feels in a strong position, that is the time when learning will occur, because it can be accumulated, it can be assimilated. So just going through some more metaphors. There's the horse, the kind of horse story, and I've heard a lot about horses from the people who are kind of on this, and actually using it when you're talking about your children. So you've got one child you prefer, one child who's doing really well, and actually using horses. So you could discuss kind of how, when you've got the reins, how when you need to pull in one child, you need to pull tight the reins of a horse. You could discuss how the outcomes are different between your children, but how you carry on investing them, and how one horse, if we're looking at horses, might not be doing the same thing, might not be performing the same way, even though they've had similar investments. To kind of to kind of get it in your head that one child is doing better than another, you can confirm one horse is stronger than another. You might wish to rectify the balance between your children. In this case, we're talking horses. So you might wish to get rid of the less well-performing horse without saying, I want to kick my child out of the home or anything like that. It's just allowing somebody in a situation where they might be talking to somebody with more knowledge, the way to broach a topic without saying, I prefer one child, basically. You may say you're going to loosen the reins on one horse and focus solely on the other, but one horse might get left behind. So what would that look like? And regardless, it's not about associating guilt or blame. Increasing the performance of one horse should not get in the way of another, but multiple factors may impede the performance of a horse. You can't know it all, things happen, and you know at the heart both deserve the same outcomes. You could give the horse to a different trainer to try. You could lose you could judge either horse without losing accountability. Lots of things you can do just talking horses. Another might be, in terms of metaphors, might be the example of a female athlete, but they keep breaking down. You could look at how the athlete is really fit underneath it all, and so that's actually more likely to happen compared to other athletes. So that's why you would invest in that athlete, how you've chosen that athlete based on the qualities they have in the first place. Look at how they persevere. And also that there's no harm in buying things for the older athlete when it means there's less chance of them breaking down. And it kind of just goes on like such. And then why, in terms of looking on a person, does it not help to look on them continuously? Well, if you look on a person continuously, it could lead to a situation like paralysis analysis. If you overanalyze a person, you can just kind of stunt the whole process. So actually, small checks you can become absorbed with rather than seeing the bigger picture. So not looking at the external picture, not realizing what's going on is really important. So I've got a bit of a guided imagery task to do next. So if we can all relax. Relaxation is it really important to managing anxiety and tension when we feel stressed. When we are stressed, muscles tense up, our heart and respirations rates increase, and we get lots of funny symptoms that we're not used to. Relaxation can increase energy, improve concentration, and increase self-confidence. So I'm now introducing a relaxation technique called guided imagery. Okay. So this is about using our imagination to experience a guided relaxation walk where we can put aside the concerns of the day and picture ourselves in a pleasant setting. So you might want to just actually lower the lights where you are right now, and even put a notice on your door to say nobody come in. And some people prefer closing their eyes during relaxation exercises, but you might just want to fix your eyes on a point. So settle into your chair, make yourself as comfortable as possible, and breathe. Breathe in deeply, expanding your diaphragm and filling your lungs. Then breathe out slowly and completely allow your body to relax. Let go of any tension and any stressful thoughts you may have at this moment, and allow yourself to completely relax. Continue this breathing technique for a while. Breathing in deeply, expanding your diaphragm, filling your lungs, and then breathing out slowly, completely allowing your body to relax. Imagine you're walking down a country lane on a lovely sunny day. The short grass is soft and comfortable to walk on. And as you continue down the lane, you become more aware of the things around you, what you can hear, what you can see, and what you can smell. Then you catch the scent of the wild roses and honeysuckle blossoming in the hedgerow as you walk slowly past. Now you become aware of the birds singing all around you and the colours of the wild flowers. And as you continue walking, you find that being in this lovely place is helping you to forget the daily worries and concerns you may have. Continuing ahead, you see a small bridge over a stream, and as you walk over the bridge, you stop and look into the stream as it gurgles over small rocks and flows past. The water is crystal clear. You can see small fish lazily swimming against the current, and some are jumping to catch flies. Ducklings are swimming in and out of the reeds, with a mother busy finding food. So you stop for a while just to enjoy the beautiful scene. Continuing over the bridge, you come to an open meadow. The sun is warm and there's a gentle breeze cool on your face. As you walk, you become aware of all the sounds of the countryside. Butterflies are sunning themselves in the long grass, and the meadow is full of colourful wild flowers just nodding their heads gently in the breeze, as if to say welcome, welcome to your special place. Walking slowly across the meadow, you join the lane again as it continues through some woods. Here it is cooler and quiet. After a while, you come to a break in the trees with open grassland and a wonderful view over meadows and rolling hills in the distance. An ideal place just to rest. So you find a comfortable place to sit in the grass and relax in the warm sun. Listen to the gentle rustle of leaves in the trees behind you. The song of the skylark up high overhead. Notice the sheep grazing in the fields below and the grass gently swaying in the meadows. Now it's time to move on. So you return to the lane and continue through the cool, quiet woods into the open meadow. Here you pause in the sunshine, taking in the scents and sounds, then down the lane, past the hedgerows bustling with colour and singing birds. As you leave the lane, you feel calm and refreshed, and you know this place is always here whenever you wish to return. When you're ready, open your eyes. So moving on, we're nearly towards the end. Lifestyle wellbeing ideas. Reducing the likelihood of 20th century chronic conditions through balanced eating. I've mentioned the Eat Well Guide, the United Kingdom's government's guidelines on balanced eating. The concept of all-round wellness and the factors that interplay include food as medicine, and why there are benefits with respect to eating a balanced intake. These are some of the likely benefits: losing weight, having more energy, reducing your chances of cancer. Next would be exercise. So not letting your DNA define you, letting exercise enlighten you. Increasing activity physiologically helps the lung capacity, blood volume to the left ventricle, cardiac output, mitochondria, and lowers blood cholesterol. So even in aerobic exercise, you'll have more energy, more resilience, and that helps you throughout the course of a day, ironically. The benefits of exercise continue. You can expect to increase life expectancy up to 15 for somewhere up to 15 years by forming a rich part by letting exercise form a rich part of the fabric of your life. These are some further benefits of exercise: bone density increases, postural enhancements, reduction of cardiovascular disease, an increase in metabolism, so even at rest you'll be burning calories, flexibility, and lowering of blood pressure. And then finally, psychological benefits: connectivity, neuromuscular patterns, your CNS and PNS, peripheral nervous system, and your central nervous system will help in terms of muscle memory, reducing degeneration in the brain, functional fitness, and also giving you confidence inroads. For those of you who attended Series 1, I covered all the solutions to sleep, and you can go back to that webinar to check out some more reasons. Avoiding alcohol. The recommendations are two units every 2 to 3 days. So that's a small glass of alcohol at a time, a very small glass, and it gives you the same effect as lots and lots of alcohol, which is good news. Activity of the cerebral kind. I've mentioned taking a vacation from adulthood, activities that lift your mood, and jigsaws, word searches, whatever's your kind of bag. And then you can find these on the internet, wellness recovery action plans. If you look up a wellness recovery action plan, they will give you ideas on how to note setbacks, triggers, identify early warning signals, indications when things are not quite right, what you like. And also there's a bit on relapses, so things that you do need to do if things go really pear-shaped, and how you would act. And then moving on, we're nearly at the end, you'll be pleased to know. So the crisis planning questions would be what you'd do if you become unwell, who you'd contact, and that's all in what's known as a wellness recovery action plan. You can look them up. And then solution focused therapy. Just a few questions for you. So we did goal setting in the first session. I'd like you to ask yourself, what are your best hopes in 2024? By the end of the year, what do you wish to have achieved? How will success be measured? Use the SMART acronym, which will come up next. And what will others see in you? So looking ahead so that your limbic system isn't hijacked by your cortex in times of emotional dysfunction is kind of answering those questions where you can. And the mnemonic we looked at previously was SMARTER. With people that I work with, I'd never assume people are looking at enjoyable things. Potentially there might not be any enjoyment in your life. That's acceptable, but you can use these in terms of deciding and pursuing achievable goals. So thinking in terms of specific, a generic walk, measurable, half a mile, achievable, previously accomplished, relevant, important to you, time bound, when, i.e. what day in the week, enjoyable, why, taking notice, and that kind of thing, and rewarded, building in something as a reward that's purposeful and meaningful. And then finally, we can accept new referrals to people who have severe mental illness. So it can be things like anxiety and depression. You would need to go to your doctor, who would then get your referral to what's known as a PCN MAT meeting, and it would be discussed with our team directly. There are referral forms available. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll hand back to Nikki and the team. Please, if you can, put any feedback in the chat, or let Luke know, who's been the organiser, along with the co-organisers, of any feedback you have. That would be marvellous. Many thanks.
Thank you, Dee, for doing that for us this evening.
That's okay.
I like
Bit
the
longer then.
getting the horses in there. Me and Sam do
Yes,
spend
I
an
thought you
awful lot of
might.
time talking about horses, so that was very topical for us. But they
Good.
do bring us a lot of enjoyment as well as a lot of stress. So
Shows how it can be used. That's
yeah, no,
what
that
I
was a
meant.
really that made complete sense to us. So thank you.
I'll
And I
leave now,
also,
but I'll let
yeah,
you
that's fine.
continue. Thanks very much for having me.
Okay.
Take care.
No
Cheers.
problem. Good.
Bye.
Goodbye. Oh, okay. Sam, if you're free and ready to go, you could just give us a overview of some of the information that we get through our door about scams and part of what we do as trading standards.
Thank you, Nikki. So we just wanted to take this opportunity just to share a bit of information with regards to scams and the kind of scams we kind of deal with trading standards. Here are a few facts that I got off fraud information point. So here, there's some information about some scams and figures. So more than 5 million people in the year fall victim of scams. You are twice as likely to fall victim to fraud than any other type of scam. Different types of scams would be, you've got your romance scams, you've got your telephone scams, your internet and your email scams, postal scams, and people coming to your door and scamming you. So there's lots of different types of ways of being scammed, but most likely is be a fraudulent scam of being victim to that. The internet delivers the channels for 84% of identity fraud, so people stealing your identity there. And the percent of scams which are reported is only 5%. So only 5% of scams that happen within England are actually reported. So we do receive quite a few complaints with regards to being scammed. And we do provide support and help to victims of scams, and will do visits to people repeatedly scammed by companies, and we try and help with support. And we do have some scam champions within trading standards who can help provide support in that, with that side of things. Things to look out for and watch out, and to try and protect yourself with regards to scams. Be aware that scams, there at the moment with the cost of living, there are more scams around about heating, energy costs, cost of living, and so people contacting you, like we said, by phone, by email, by telephone, maybe knocking on your door, trying to suggest that they can offer you cheaper heating or electricity, or different ways of you getting support for the cost of living, where they will take your details and everything there. So you just need to be really careful of those kind of scams. Scammers are professionals at what they do. That's their job. That's what they're doing. That's their income. That's how they get their own money. So they are very professional at making you and convincing you that they are the genuine people. So do ask for ID, identification, and just protect yourself. Don't let anyone come into your home unless you've invited them, that you're expecting them to come to your premises. Do ask anyone that's coming to you or that rings you or contacts you, do check that they are from that company that's contacting you, to make sure that they're a genuine person. Don't enter any of your bank details or anything into a third-party website. Don't follow any clicks on emails and things. The idea of that is that you shouldn't need to put in your personal details or your bank details to receive any money that you claim. So if you're being told you've won the lottery, or won some money or through competition, you wouldn't need to enter any bank details to claim it, or have to pay out money to claim something back. If you won something and they're trying to take an admin fee from you, then if it was a genuine win, they will be able to take that admin fee out of the money and still give you the remainder. So just be very careful with what information you give to a third party to protect that information. If you do become a victim, or you believe you're being contacted and being a victim of scams, or you think something is a scam, then you've got some support services here. So you've got the Action Fraud team and their telephone numbers there. And these slides are available to you with the recording. So don't panic if about writing anything down now. This information is provided to you. We also have support for you on our trading standards website, which is there with the links. So there's lots of information there about what to look out for, what to expect, how to protect yourself. You know, we do have cold caller stickers we can send out to you, or if you came and see us at the markets or at agricultural shows, we normally have them on our stands, so do come and ask for them, and you can take them away. And over the phone support, you've also got the Citizens Advice helpline, and so you could always ring them if you want some help and support, if you believe you've become victim of scams, or if you know a neighbour that has been. But the idea is, with scams, if something looks too good to be true, it usually is too good to be true, and it usually is a scam. So just be very vigilant of the information you're giving out to people, and just be very careful with buying things online and having people coming to your door.
Oh, thanks, Sam. I know from us locally, we've had people knocking on our door about, the installation. We've had a couple of people come around our village locally, and they've been knocking. And when I sort of got the information leaflet and sent it through and had it checked, that they said they were part of Devon County Council and all sorts. So so that's another thing. I know there is actually proper grants for getting that done, but I think there also is quite a lot of scamming companies that are knocking on people's doors for that kind of thing too.
Yeah, solar panels are really topical
Yeah.
at the moment, and there's lots of people going around saying, or people saying, if you need your roof doing and things with your road traders and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if anyone does need any genuine work being done, then to protect themselves, they could go and look on our Buy with Confidence scheme, which is what trading standards do checks on these traders, and to make sure they are genuine and they do things for reasonable costs. So if you do genuinely need some work being done, go and find someone, and you can use Buy with Confidence scheme to make sure you're going to a reputable trader. But we always recommend that you get free quotes, so you can compare the prices and what they're offering and their insurances and things, and just do your due diligence of checking out their website and seeing if there's any reports on them or reviews online and things, and just do your research, and not just to have someone come through your door that knocks or rings you or sends you a random email. So it's just being careful in those ways.
Excellent, Sam. I think that was really, good information to have, because, and also not to feel silly for reporting it to us, because I know that, only 5% of people reporting it. I think a lot of that would be thinking that it should only be maybe the more vulnerable or the older sector that might get targeted, but actually they target everybody.
They do, and they are
yeah.
professionals at scamming people. That's their job and that's their role, so they are very good at doing these things. So yeah, I think only 5% of people report it because they're ashamed that they've been a victim. But so we do deal with a lot of that when we're dealing with giving victims of scam support. They always feel like they should have known better. But it's okay. The more the people report the scams, the more we can potentially stop the scammers and eventually then stop someone else from being scammed by them. So it may be a bit embarrassing to yourselves if you have become a victim of scams, but just think about all those other people that you could potentially be stopping from being a victim, and for helping them.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I think we were going to talk. I don't know if I think it's only Robin on the call left, but if I don't know if there is anything that you wanted to comment on, Robin, please feel free to, or if you're happy just listening, then that's fine too. I didn't want to move on too quickly if you did have any comments that you wanted to, or Luke. No, okay. So the other thing that we just wanted to touch on was the Hub of Hope. We're trying, myself and Sam have, come across this in our mental health and wellbeing training, and I wanted to just sort of remind everybody about it again, because it's a quite a good, very easy, accessible tool to use, which wherever you are in the country, you can access it online and put in the local postcode where you are, and it should hopefully help you to find a mental health support that's in that area, because obviously what we're finding with the work that we're doing is whether it be Devon, Somerset, Dorset, Cornwall, each area has slightly different support available, slightly different names for charities or support services that are out there. So what's available in Devon might be named or called something different in Somerset, or have different funding, or sometimes unfortunately isn't available in one county but is in the other. So this is literally, you just have to Google Hub of Hope, or go through any search engine that you have access to, and you then come to a box which you can add your postcode, the city, the town which you're most closest to, or that's one where you're wanting to find out where the support is, and it basically gets you through to mental health support services that are available in that area. It's a full database, and it is purely dealing with mental health support services of different descriptions. Really, you can put in something, sort of an area or a type of condition that you're looking up for potentially sort of anorexia, for example, or depression, and then that will help you to find the support service and charity that is closest to you and that is most available. I don't think there's anything else to really add on that. It's just that any opportunity we're trying to promote that, and we've used it ourselves in our day-to-day work. So yeah, just literally Googling or any search engine that you have, Hub of Hope, and then it takes you through to the next page, which you can just put your town or postcode of where you are, and give a description of, you can tick the type of condition that you're looking for. If you don't have that, if you just literally put in the postcode, it will bring up everything that's available in that area. And I think that's all I can say about it, really. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, Sam, but I think that's that kind of has been the basis of what we've been advised about it and how good it's been, really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think for us, every area of the we cover Devon and Somerset, is that there's help in different areas. It's always changing. So the really helpful thing about this is you can put your area or postcode in and it tells you what's local to you. Or if you've got a friend or a family member that you think needs some support or help, you can find out what's available to them in their area, because it changes geographically all the time, and things are always being added and amended on this. So it's just a really useful tool for everyone to use.
That's brilliant. Okay, and then finally, I think we're going to move on to Luke to just do a bit of an update on the Future Farm Resilience work and the grants and funding that's available. As with everything, it's ever changing, more funding becoming available or changing titles and different things. So yeah, over to you, Luke. Thank you.
Sure thing. Welcome to everyone watching, whether you're here on the call or watching via the recording. Good to see you. So I was just going to share a bit more of a detailed update tonight. Not too much detail, but a bit more than just the usual free farm business support, because earlier today, the Secretary of State, Steve Barclay, attended the Oxford Farming Conference and gave quite an important update concerning the Environmental Land Management Scheme, which is what this programme's all about. So there's quite a few updates, mostly positive. So DEFRA have confirmed that they're going to be paying more for certain actions within a sustainable farming incentive and countryside stewardship. So on average, DEFRA is saying it's about 10% increase on what they can pay for actions, and they'll automatically apply these increases to any of the actions that you might be implementing or looking to implement on farm. So I think that's some good news. It should help increase revenue for your business. In addition to that, there's going to be 50 new actions which are being added to the environmental land management schemes from the summer. So a list of them has been put out. I think they're still working out the pricing for some of them and how they're going to incentivize them. But it will mean there's more, particularly with SFI only having 23 actions at the minute. Having an additional 50 should really help ensure that you as a farmer have more choice, and there's more of an offer for all farm types. That's what DEFRA are claiming. We'll see what happens when the actions come in. And there's also from the summer, you will be able to apply for countryside stewardship mid-tier and sustainable farming incentive actions together. So you can do it through one application as opposed to through two separate applications. And so you'll have the same action available, same ambition of what you're looking to achieve, whether it's more hedgerows or herbal lays, and there's just less paperwork involved and it's less complicated. So DEFRA definitely heard our feedback on that. And yeah, there's continuing messages being put out about DEFRA looking to work with farmers and to ensure that they're setting in place some principles and standards for how we develop these new SFI actions. There's going to be more farmer consultations to establish these principles and standards. So that was announced in today's conference. We'll look to see what that translates into in the summer. And I just really wanted to do a brief little run through of some of the upcoming farming support funding that's available. So obviously the SFI 2023 applications will have they're not being taken anymore. It's now for 2024. We know that there's new actions coming. In terms of if you're listening to this right now and you're unsure as to what to do with SFI, I'm going to come back to that. But it's worth mentioning that there is going to be more actions and these can be added to your existing agreement. Next update is Devon based. If you are listening and you are based in West Devon or in the South Hams, we do have Devon County Council another project in our Agri Innovation Programme, and we are opening the expressions of interest to that from next Monday. And so this Agri Innovation Programme will be available to you and your farm business to maximise your potential and your productivity through regenerative and innovative methods and practices. So this is only in West Devon and South Hams. There's through the SPF funding, shared prosperity funding, there is different things going on with different district councils. Again, if you're interested to know what's going on in your local area, get in touch with us. We can find out for you and signpost. But there's a lot on offer in summary from different councils. But yeah, if you're interested in that specific Agri Innovation Programme and you're based in West Devon or in the South Hams, yeah, expressions of interest will be going live between the 8th and the 31st of January. And there's forms you'll need to complete. So again, just get in contact if you're interested. It'll also be run through Business Information Point, the same as the Future Farming Resilience Programme. The Improving Farm Productivity Grant Round 2 is live. So this is for capital items to improve farm and horticulture productivity through robotics, automation or solar power. And this funding just aims to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of those systems to reduce supposed environmental impact of farming. So the amount available varies, minimum maximum grants. So for robotics and automatic equipment, the fund pays for about 40% of the costs. And this can be anything from a minimum of £25,000 to a maximum of £500,000 per farm business. And for solar photovoltaic technologies, the fund will cover 25% of the costs. from a minimum of £15,000 to a maximum of £100,000 grant available. So to apply for both a solar grant and a farm productivity grant, you can submit 2 separate applications, and the combined maximum for that would be £500,000. The online checker is live currently, and I believe there's a specialist workshop coming up on that, which I'll share about shortly. So that's the Shared Prosperity Fund. There's just 2 other funds I'm going to mention, and then I'll wrap up. So there's the Slurry Infrastructure Grant. So round 2 is now live, in which £74 million is available, which is double what was available in round 1 last year. And there will only be 1 extra round in 2024. So there's more funding available now. Our professional opinion is that you ought to, we're strongly encouraging you, if you are looking to improve your slurry storage, this is probably the round to go for. So you can start your application with an online checker. But again, DEFRA have shared it. We can also share it with you. And this is live until the 17th of January 2024. We have a specialist workshop going through what the grant is and how to complete your application on the 11th of January. So a week before, we're doing a workshop which will explore all the ins and outs of the grant. So again, if you're interested, definitely go for funding in this round, and I'd heavily encourage you to attend a specialist workshop on the 11th of January, the business information point of running as well. And
are they face to face, Luke, or are the
this
workshops
is
online?
so this is an online workshop. The Slurry Infrastructure Grant one is online. There is some in-person specialist workshops. Most of our in-person workshops are either general information transition workshops, as is described on the slide, that first bullet point. But yeah, this is I'm talking about some of these specialist workshops here. So this is the small group webinars. And only other one I wanted to highlight is the Countryside Stewardship Facilitation Fund. So there's financial support which is available to bring together farmers and land managers to improve the local natural environment. There's quite a few clusters that have established already, but the application window closes for this fund on the 15th of January 2024. All this information is available on not just our Future Farming Resilience website, but also on a newsletter we send out every couple of weeks. So if you can't remember everything I've just said, but you're interested, get in contact. We can add you to the newsletter list. On that newsletter, there's the dates for the different specialist workshops we're doing. We're doing another SFI workshop online on the 9th of January. I mentioned it, a Slow Infrastructure Grant. We're doing a specialist workshop on the Land app, which is a land mapping tool which you can use to support your farm business. And then there's a few more SFI workshops over mid to late January. And at the end of the month, we'll be doing a specialist workshop on biodiversity net gain. It's going to be a bit of an introduction, and we've got a third-party organisation speaking at that. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. But yeah, in summary, if you're interested in anything we said, get in contact. We're here to help. If you're just looking to find out what support is available in your district with shared prosperity funding, or you're still not quite sure what direction your farm business is going to take in the coming years as DEFRA change how farming's incentivised, just get in touch. We're here to help, and we know that being able to support farm business will help ultimately to support you as we're seeking to help with and signpost with through the rural support work. So that's it from me. Is there any questions from anyone that's on the call?
Oh, I think you're free, Luke. I think you're okay.
Cool.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. Always having as much information available as possible, and it being more, up to date with what's happening is really helpful, because I know it's changing all of the time. So that's a good information for me and Sam, as well as the farming community. So that's brilliant. And as ever, obviously the webinars, we're still running right through to April. We'll keep an updated list on the Business Information Point website, and we'll pass it out as much as possible to the farming community when we are out at markets and on our visits, to let you know what we're planning to talk about. Yeah, there's the normal details of how you can sign up. So thank you ever so much for listening. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we finish up? Oh, thank you, Robin. I really appreciate you coming along, and thank you for your comments. They're really, really appreciated. But like I say, the next one will be on the first Thursday in February, and we'll hope to have the two speakers that we missed out on this evening join us, plus a lady from the Farm Safety Foundation, Yellow Wellies. So we'll look forward to that in February. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll speak to you soon.